There's a monkey on your back, and it's you. That's why it never seems to go away. Sometimes it's small, and other times it's that 1,000-pound gorilla. This is blatant hyperbole, but it describes what's felt perfectly when you feel at ease or when you're staring down the beast's throat.
Everything we do in whitewater kayaking is against the natural grain of our survival instincts. And this is the same for all of us. We're all on the same uphill battle.
Brain function and our mechanical responses work from the most simple to complex and from the most necessary to frivolous. In the grand scheme of things, the execution of whitewater maneuvers is frivolous in comparison to, say, breathing. This pyramid structure of Maslow's hierarchy of needs emphasizes what is necessary for higher level function to occur. Whitewater requires a great deal of cognitive, higher order thinking to occur, but the environment can pose an immediate threat to those basic needs. The triune brain theory explains similarly what Maslow's points were, but with more of a physiological measurement. Our brain development has occurred over a geologic timeline, and it is believed that our higher level function in the neocortex is a recent development along this timeline, compared to the brainstem. The brainstem, combined with our limbic brain, is responsible for roughly 95% of our brain function. This portion of our brain correlates to the lower portion of the Maslow pyramid. The last 5% is the cognitive processes of our neocortex and works far less efficiently. This portion of the brain is what we are trying to tap into constantly to rationalize what we are doing in whitewater.
So what does the brain do then? Physiologically speaking, the brain is there to exert control over the body. The brain acts on the rest of the body by generating patterns of muscle activity, as well as secreting chemicals that we call hormones. This centralized control allows rapid assessment and response to changes in our environment.
When you are experiencing a heightened awareness, increase in breathing, and rapid heart rate, your brain is putting your body in the ready. Despite the complexity, these are lower-level functions and automatic responses to unfamiliar environments. And these responses can be memorized and reinforced. I relate this response to the RPMs in an engine. Green is calm and in control. Yellow is this heightened state of awareness and readiness. And red is overwhelmed and unable to process the information that we are receiving. We perform best and longest when we flow in and out of green and yellow fluidly. This is controlled by our breathing and heart rate, which is affected by our senses and our ability to process information. The more positive experience we have, the easier it becomes to control. Negative responses can be catastrophic and can literally cause PTSD, whether the experience actually was traumatic or merely perceived as traumatic. These experiences are reinforced by the brainstem and limbic functions, which work in overdrive compared to our logic center, the neocortex. Understanding just how fragile our esteem is in whitewater sports, there are some preventative measures we can take as we are being led into a river environment. Have you ever been invited on a river trip, only later at the put-in to be grilled with 20 questions of what your river experience is? Of course, it is a preventative measure that a trip leader will take in understanding who the group they're leading is.
Have you paddled the Lower Green before? What was that like for you?
It was great. It's a fun river.
Good. And you, Megan? Yes.
Although this is a common theme, You can flip the script and interview the TL and the folks in your group. Doing research on your end will keep you in line with the groups that suit your style, or communicate well with your needs. The common thread here is communication. This can do a great deal to settle nerves, or on the opposite end of the spectrum, could enhance nerves if the group or leader is ineffective or dismissive. Listen to your gut. It tells you things for a reason.
I want to work on rolling and current, pushing myself a little bit.
Excellent. So you're going to spend a little bit more time upside down.
Yeah, always.
Good.
I'm always upside down. So might as well.
Good. We can work on that a little bit.
While working through a river trip, especially one with some ambition, you're going to constantly balance your expectations and perceptions with judgment and reality. The critical points on both sides of that balance are group, safety, information, and self. When you start comparing the two sides and they seem to support one another instead of contradict, you will typically be in a good place to push yourself. If you start to see disparities, those are red flags that will get you into humbling experiences quickly. For people, internally, whitewater sports are a paradox to what we find to be comforting and is perhaps one of the draws to the sport. It can also be an individual's biggest hindrance. We relinquish an element of control as we cannot control the river. We work in a medium of unknowables as we continue to grow. This is a conflict in two parts. One, we love to have control. And two, we have to admit that we don't know something as we are growing. For creatures that don't like to express vulnerabilities or inadequacies, this can be a real tough sport.
Have a little grace with yourself. Seriously, just like an infant learning to walk, your learning curve through whitewater kayaking is going to be filled with stumbles. Find a group that helps nurture you through this process so you can get the most out of this experience.